The 10 Habits That Brought Me Closer to God, Success by Earl Nightingale. I want to share with you a remarkable secret that has transformed my life and the lives of countless others. This secret is so simple, yet so profound, that once you grasp it and apply it, your life will never be the same again. The secret is this: success begins with knowing your God-given purpose. You see, we're not placed on this earth by accident. Each of us has been created with unique talents, abilities, and passions that, when properly channeled, can lead us to extraordinary achievement and deep spiritual fulfillment. But here's the tragedy I've witnessed over decades of observing human potential. Most people drift through life without ever defining their purpose. They're like ships without rudders, tossed about by the currents of circumstance, never reaching any worthwhile destination. Is it any wonder that so many feel disconnected not only from success, but from their Creator? Lesson 1. The habit of defining your God-given purpose. Let me tell you what I've discovered. Success is not measured by the size of your bank account or the square footage of your home. True success, as I've come to understand it, is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And the worthiest ideals align perfectly with the unique purpose for which you were created. How do you discover this purpose? It begins with quiet reflection and earnest prayer. In the stillness, away from the noise and distractions of daily life, you must ask yourself, what am I naturally good at? What activities energize rather than drain me? What needs do I see in the world that stir my heart to action? The answers to these questions contain powerful clues to your divine calling. I've found that purpose often exists at the intersection of your talents and the service of others. It's a simple formula, really. Your God-given abilities multiplied by service to others equals your purpose. Now, here's where many people go wrong. They wait for complete clarity before taking any action. But clarity rarely comes while standing still. It emerges through movement and engagement with life. Start with what you know now. Take that first step, however small, in the direction that feels right. The path will become clearer as you walk it. The danger of drifting without direction cannot be overstated. Without a clearly defined purpose, we become vulnerable to distraction, prone to wasting our precious time on earth, pursuing goals that may impress others but leave us feeling hollow inside. I encourage you today to sit down with pen and paper. Write out what you believe your purpose might be. Don't worry about getting it perfect. This is a living document that will evolve as you grow. The important thing is to begin the process of aligning your daily activities with something larger than yourself. Remember that the world needs what only you can give. Your unique combination of talents, experiences, and perspective is not a coincidence, but a divine design. When you define your purpose and commit to living it each day, you not only move closer to success as the world defines it, but you also draw nearer to the one who created you for greatness. Your purpose is your compass. Find it, follow it, and watch as both success and spiritual fulfillment naturally follow. Lesson 2. The habit of planting positive thoughts in your mental garden. My friend, what you think about consistently has the remarkable power to shape your destiny. This profound truth wasn't invented by modern psychology. It has been woven into the tapestry of spiritual wisdom since ancient times. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. These divine words reveal that we become the living embodiment of our dominant thoughts. Your mind is like a garden that the Creator has entrusted to your care. Every thought you nurture is a seed planted in fertile soil. Some thoughts grow into beautiful flowers that nourish your soul and elevate your life. Others grow into weeds that choke out possibility and darken your path. The miraculous truth is that you, and you alone, are the gardener who chooses which seeds to plant. Many good people live entire lives without realizing they possess this awesome power. They allow random thoughts to take root without careful selection. They wonder why their mental garden produces such disappointing harvests year after year. But you will now join the small percentage who deliberately cultivate their thinking. The mind doesn't distinguish between constructive and destructive thoughts. It simply accepts what you repeatedly feed it. When you consistently focus on gratitude, opportunity, and divine abundance, your mind creates neural pathways that make these patterns automatic. Scientists call this neuroplasticity. I call it evidence of our God-given ability to transform ourselves through thought. Begin today by watching your thoughts as they enter your mind. Become the gatekeeper. When negative thoughts approach, worry, doubt, fear, resentment, recognize them for what they are. Weeds attempting to invade your garden. Don't fight them or become frustrated. Simply replace them with thoughts aligned with your highest purpose. Create powerful affirmations rooted in spiritual truth. Rather than generic statements, craft affirmations that resonate with your soul. I am gratefully growing in wisdom and prosperity. Each day carries more power than vague wishes. Speak these affirmations aloud each morning and evening, letting them sink deep into your consciousness. The most effective way to transform your thinking is through a 21-day mental diet. For 3 weeks, refuse to dwell on any thought that contradicts your divine potential. When challenges arise, and they will, immediately redirect your focus to solutions rather than problems. View each difficulty as an opportunity disguised as an obstacle. Throughout your day, feed your mind with material that elevates. Listen to inspiring messages during your commute. Read uplifting books before bed. Surround yourself with people whose thinking inspires rather than diminishes. Remember, your environment inevitably influences your thoughts. Your thought life creates the blueprint for your destiny. By consciously planting positive, purposeful thoughts in your mental garden, you align yourself with the highest spiritual principles of success. This single habit, cultivating your thought life, can transform every aspect of your existence and bring you closer to both divine wisdom and earthly achievement. The choice is gloriously yours. Lesson 3. The habit of rising before the sun. There exists a time of day that seems almost magical in its potential. Those quiet hours when darkness gives way to dawn. I have discovered, as have countless achievers throughout history, that rising before the sun provides an advantage so powerful it almost seems unfair. You see, the early morning hours offer a sanctuary of silence. Before the world awakens with its demands and distractions, you have the opportunity to commune with both your Creator and your deepest thoughts. Success leaves clues, and one of the most consistent clues left by the great men and women of history is their habit of early rising. Consider that Benjamin Franklin rose at 5 a.m. daily, asking himself, "What good shall I do this day?" The great industrialist John D. Rockefeller began his days at 5:30. Even Jesus Christ himself, as recorded in Mark 1:35, got up very early in the morning while it was still dark, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. This is not coincidence, but confirmation of a universal principle. Those who master their mornings master their lives. When you rise before the sun, you make a powerful declaration. You announce to yourself and the universe that you are taking command of your day rather than surrendering it to chance. This single habit, making the decision to conquer the pillow each morning, has the power to transform every other aspect of your existence. The first moments of your day are sacred. During these quiet hours, your mind is most receptive, your spirit most sensitive. This is when you'll find it easiest to pray with focus, to meditate without distraction, and to plan with clarity. I call these the golden hours, when your connection to God and your higher purpose can be most profound. Begin by setting your alarm 30 minutes earlier than usual. Use this time not for checking messages or catching up on work, but for spiritual alignment. Read Scripture. Pray with intention. Write in a journal. Sit in contemplative silence. Listen for that still, small voice of guidance that is often drowned out by the noise of a busy day. As you grow comfortable with this new schedule, gradually move your waking time earlier still. The goal is to create a sacred morning routine that nourishes your soul while preparing your mind for productive action. The habit of early rising will test your resolve. Your warm bed will beckon you to stay. Your body may resist the change, but I promise you this: The rewards vastly outweigh the temporary discomfort. After just 21 days of faithful practice, what once seemed difficult will become natural. You'll begin to awaken even before your alarm sounds, your body and spirit, eager for that precious morning solitude. Remember, success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. When you dedicate the first fruits of your day to God and personal growth, you are becoming a personal growth. You are becoming a person who naturally draws success closer. The habit of rising before the sun isn't merely about gaining extra hours. It's about transforming who you are from the inside out. Lesson 4. The habit of strategic goal setting. Imagine for a moment that you're about to embark on a journey across the sea. Would you simply climb into a boat, push away from shore, and let the currents take you where they may? Of course not. You'd chart a course, prepare for the voyage, and keep your destination firmly in mind throughout your journey. My friends, life itself is that very journey, and goals are the divine coordinates that guide us toward our destiny. I've discovered through years of observation that the difference between the person who succeeds and the one who struggles isn't talent or opportunity, but the clarity of their direction. God has placed within you seeds of greatness, but these seeds require the nourishment of purpose and direction to grow. Strategic goal setting is not merely a business practice. It's a spiritual discipline that acknowledges God's hand in your future. When you set clear goals, you're essentially saying, "Lord, I believe in the potential you've placed within me, and I'm taking action to fulfill it." The process begins with quiet reflection. Take a blank sheet of paper and write down what you truly desire to accomplish in each area of your life: spiritual, relational, physical, and financial. Don't limit yourself with small thinking. The same God who created the universe lives within you, so let your goals reflect His magnitude. Once you've identified your desires, transform them into clear, specific goals. Rather than saying, "I want to be closer to God," write, "I read my Bible and pray for 30 minutes each morning." Instead of, "I want financial stability," write, "I save 15 of my income and give 10 to God's work." Specificity gives your mind something concrete to pursue. Now, the secret most people miss. Write your goals as if they've already happened. I weigh 170 pounds and exercise 4 times weekly. I spend quality time with my children every evening. This present, tense language programs your subconscious mind to recognize these outcomes as your current reality. For each goal, identify the next action step you can take today. Remember, a goal without action is merely a dream. Perhaps it's making a phone call, scheduling an appointment, or spending 15 minutes in prayer. Whatever it is, do it immediately after reading this chapter. Finally, establish accountability. Share your goals with someone you trust, a spouse, friend, or mentor. Meet regularly to discuss your progress. This partnership provides both encouragement when you succeed and redirection when you falter. Through this process, you'll discover something remarkable. Your goals will pull you forward through difficulties that would otherwise defeat you. When challenges arise, and they will, your clearly defined purpose will provide the strength to persevere. The most successful people I've met in my lifetime weren't necessarily the most talented, but they all shared this common trait. They knew precisely where they were going and refused to be deterred. With God's guidance and clearly defined goals, there's no limit to what you can accomplish. Begin today and watch as the currents of your life shift toward your divine destiny. Lesson 5. The habit of deliberate learning. As you travel along this magnificent journey toward both divine connection and earthly success, you must understand a powerful truth. Knowledge is not merely power. It is a sacred responsibility. The Creator has given us minds designed to grow, to absorb wisdom, and to be constantly renewed. I've observed during my years that the most successful people in any field are perpetual students. They consume information with purpose and intention. They don't leave their learning to chance, but rather create deliberate systems to expand their understanding daily. You see, success leaves clues, and one of the most obvious is this habit of continual, purposeful learning. What would happen if you committed to reading just one book per week? In a single year, you would have absorbed the wisdom of 52 different minds. Think about that. While the average person drifts through life gathering random bits of information, you could systematically transform your thinking through deliberate study. Your mind is like a treasury, and each book deposits valuable currency that compounds over time. Create for yourself what I call a personal university. This isn't a physical place, but rather a conscious approach to your education. Podcasts while you drive, books during lunch breaks, online courses in the evening. These become the classes in yourself. Designed curriculum. The world's greatest thinkers are available to you through their works. What a magnificent opportunity. There are 5 subjects I believe every success-minded believer should study regularly. First, study your faith deeply, not just casually. Second, master communication, how to express yourself clearly and persuasively. Third, understand human psychology and behavior. Fourth, learn financial principles that create abundance. And fifth, study the biographies of great men and women who've walked successful paths before you. But knowledge without application is merely entertainment. When you learn something valuable, immediately ask yourself, how can I use this today? The gap between knowing and doing is where most people falter. Don't just be impressed by wisdom. Be changed by it. Apply what you learn no matter how small the application might seem. And here's a secret that multiplies the value of everything you study. Teach others what you learn. When you explain a concept to someone else, you deepen your own understanding remarkably. Find opportunities to share your knowledge, in conversation, in writing, in formal settings. When you teach, you learn twice. Remember this. We live in an age of unparalleled access to information, yet many minds remain untended gardens. Don't let yours be one of them. Make deliberate learning a daily habit. Set aside specific times for study. Create an environment that nurtures your intellectual growth. Be selective about what you allow into your mind. The combination of spiritual wisdom and practical knowledge creates a life of extraordinary impact. As you commit to this habit of deliberate learning, you'll find yourself drawing closer to both divine wisdom and the success you were created to achieve. Your expanded understanding becomes the foundation upon which greater achievements are built. Lesson 6. The habit of grateful living. As we go about our daily lives, there exists a power so transformative, yet so often overlooked, that I consider it the hidden cornerstone of both spiritual fulfillment and material success. This power is gratitude. You see, gratitude isn't merely a polite response to kindness. It's a fundamental force that shapes our reality. When we plant the seed of thankfulness in the garden of our minds, we create the conditions for abundance to flourish. This isn't mystical thinking. It's as practical as the law of gravity. I've observed throughout my years that men and women who cultivate grateful hearts invariably attract more blessings into their lives. Science now confirms what the wise have always known. Gratitude physically rewires our brains, reducing stress hormones and increasing those associated with happiness and well-being. Begin tomorrow morning with this simple practice. Before your feet touch the floor, identify 3 specific things you're thankful for. They needn't be grand. Perhaps it's the warmth of your blanket, the sound of birds outside your window, or simply the gift of another day. This small ritual, performed consistently, will gradually transform your perception. Maintain a gratitude journal beside your bed. Each evening, record 5 blessings from your day. Be specific. Instead of writing, "I'm grateful for my job," write, "I'm grateful for the opportunity to help Mrs. Johnson solve her problem today at work." Specificity amplifies the emotional impact of gratitude. Perhaps the most powerful practice is to consciously shift your vocabulary from complaint to praise. Our words create our world. When you feel the urge to complain about traffic, redirect your thoughts. "I'm thankful to have a reliable vehicle and the freedom to travel." This isn't denial of reality, but a choice to focus on its positive aspects. Express appreciation to others deliberately and specifically. Notice the unique contributions people make to your life and acknowledge them. A sincere thank you, energizes both the giver and receiver. In business, I've found that genuinely appreciated employees become extraordinarily loyal and productive. Once weekly, take what I call a gratitude walk. Spend 30 minutes strolling through your neighborhood park or any pleasant setting, mentally identifying everything you appreciate. This combines the benefits of physical exercise, fresh air, and focused thankfulness. Remember, gratitude isn't just for good times. Even in difficulties, there are lessons and blessings to be found. When facing challenges, ask yourself, what could be good about this? This question alone can transform your experience. As you develop this habit of grateful living, you'll find yourself drawing closer to God, for gratitude is perhaps the purest form of prayer. Simultaneously, you'll discover that success flows more naturally toward those who appreciate what they already have. The habit of gratitude creates an upward spiral. The more you appreciate, the more you'll find to appreciate. Begin today, this very hour, to count your blessings and watch as both your spiritual life and worldly endeavors are transformed through the miracle of thankfulness. Lesson 7. The habit of serving others first. You will find, as I have discovered in my many years of studying successful people, that the greatest secret to abundance lies not in what you can get, but in what you can give. This profound truth stands in stark contrast to what the world often teaches us. While society pushes us towards self-interest, the divine economy operates on an entirely different principle: service before self. I've watched thousands of men and women climb the ladder of success, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that those who reach the highest rungs are those who help others up along the way. When you make service your primary focus, success follows as naturally as dawn follows darkness. Consider this fundamental truth. We live in a universe governed by laws. Just as gravity works without fail, so too does the law of service. What you send out into the world returns to you multiplied. This isn't merely positive thinking. It's a spiritual principle woven into the fabric of existence itself. Look at the most successful people in any field. What distinguishes them is not merely talent or opportunity, but their ability to identify and fill the needs of others. The businessman who creates products that genuinely improve lives. The writer whose words lift the human spirit. The physician who heals with both medicine and compassion. All are servants first, successful second. Begin each day with this simple question: how can I serve? Rather than asking what the world owes you, ask what you owe the world. This single shift in perspective will transform not only your results, but your entire experience of life. Service doesn't require grand gestures. It lives in the small moments. A kind word to someone struggling, sharing knowledge with a colleague, or simply performing your daily work with excellence and integrity. These seemingly small acts create ripples that extend far beyond our vision. I recommend creating what I call a service log. Each evening, record the ways you've been of service that day. This practice accomplishes two things. It makes you conscious of opportunities to serve, and it reveals patterns that will guide you toward your most meaningful contributions. True service comes from authenticity. Don't force yourself into acts of kindness that don't align with your gifts. Instead, discover the unique ways you're equipped to serve. Are you a natural teacher? Share knowledge. A good listener? Offer your ear to those who need it. Financially blessed? Consider how your resources can elevate others. The most remarkable aspect of service is that it transforms the server even more than those being served. As you focus on meeting others' needs, your own problems shrink in proportion. Anxiety diminishes. Purpose clarifies. And that elusive thing called happiness, which cannot be pursued directly, arrives as the natural byproduct of a life well lived in service to others. Make no mistake, this habit requires intention in a world that constantly pulls us toward self-absorption. But if you commit to serving others first for the next 30 days, you'll experience such profound changes that you'll never want to return to your old ways of thinking. For in giving, we receive. In serving, we are served. This is the divine paradox that leads to true success. Lesson 8. The habit of resilient faith. Faith is that extraordinary force that allows the impossible to become possible. It's the force that allows us to see the invisible, to believe in what others call impossible, and to achieve what the majority deem unattainable. My friends, resilient faith is not merely a spiritual concept, but a practical tool that shapes your reality. When I was a young man, I noticed something remarkable about truly successful people. They possessed an unwavering faith, not blind optimism, but a deep-seated conviction that they would overcome whatever obstacles appeared in their path. This resilient faith becomes your anchor in storms and your wings in clear skies. God has designed us with a magnificent ability to choose our thoughts. When challenges arise, and they surely will, you have the divine right to decide whether to view them as devastating setbacks or stepping stones to greater achievement. The habit of resilient faith is cultivated through this daily choice. Consider the mighty oak tree. It doesn't grow strong by standing in calm weather alone. It develops its impressive strength by withstanding powerful winds and storms. Each challenge it faces causes its roots to dig deeper, its trunk to grow thicker. You are no different. Each obstacle you face with faith develops spiritual muscle that cannot be gained any other way. Begin each morning with a declaration of faith. Speak aloud. Whatever challenges come my way today, I know they contain the seeds of greater good. God has equipped me with everything I need to succeed. These aren't empty words. They're programming for your subconscious mind, the faithful servant that works tirelessly to create your reality. Doubt and fear can only operate in the vacuum of faith. Fill your mind completely with faith and doubt have nowhere to take root. This doesn't mean pretending problems don't exist. That would be foolishness. Instead, it means facing problems with the unshakable conviction that you, with God's help, are greater than any challenge. Develop the practice of spiritual autobiography. Each evening, record instances where your faith was tested and strengthened. Note how previous obstacles have become blessings in disguise. This creates a personal testimony that fortifies your faith when new challenges arise. The world is filled with uncertainty, but your response needn't be. Worrying is like praying for what you don't want. Instead, channel that same energy into faithful expectation of good outcomes. This isn't magical thinking. It's aligning yourself with the divine order of success. Resilient faith isn't built overnight. Like any worthy habit, it requires consistent practice. When doubt whispers in your ear, respond with words of faith. When fear grips your heart, counter with courageous action. This daily practice builds spiritual endurance that will carry you through any trial. Remember, faith without works is dead. Your faith must be active, demonstrated through persistent action despite temporary setbacks. God has placed within you seeds of greatness, but only resilient faith can water those seeds and bring them to full harvest. Cultivate this habit daily and watch as both spiritual fulfillment and material success bloom in your life. Lesson 9. The habit of disciplined stewardship. Throughout my years of studying success and spiritual principles, I've discovered an extraordinary truth that often goes unmentioned in conventional success literature. This truth is the remarkable connection between how we manage our resources and how we advance both spiritually and materially. I call this principle disciplined stewardship, and I believe it's one of the most powerful habits you can develop. You see, everything we have has been entrusted to us. Our time, our talents, our treasures, all are gifts that we've been given temporary custody of. How we manage these resources tells the true story of what we value and who we are becoming. The most successful people I've encountered throughout my life have been masterful stewards. They understand that money, like any tool, is neither good nor evil. It simply amplifies who we already are. A person of good character with wealth can do tremendous good in the world. The key is developing your character, first through disciplined stewardship of what you already have. Begin with your finances. No matter your current situation, Start by giving a portion first. This might seem counterintuitive, especially if resources are tight, but this act of faith sets in motion powerful principles. Then save a portion, even if it's just a few dollars at first. The amount matters less than the habit. Finally, live on the remainder with gratitude and contentment. But stewardship extends beyond money. Your time is your most precious, non-renewable resource. Guard it carefully. Eliminate activities that don't align with your purpose. Learn to say no to good opportunities so you can say yes to great ones. Schedule your priorities rather than prioritizing your schedule. Your physical body, too, requires disciplined stewardship. The energy you need for achievement comes from proper nutrition, adequate rest, and regular physical activity. Many ambitious people neglect this area to their detriment. Remember, your body is the vehicle that carries your mind and spirit through this life. Your relationships also require careful stewardship. Invest time and attention in those connections that matter most. Be fully present when you're with others. Listen more than you speak. Express appreciation regularly. The quality of your life will never exceed the quality of your relationships. This habit of disciplined stewardship creates a foundation for lasting success because it builds integrity in every area of life. There's a wonderful harmony that develops when you're managing well what you've been given. Doors begin to open. Opportunities present themselves. Resources multiply. Remember, friends, we attract not what we want, but what we are. When we become excellent stewards, we naturally attract greater responsibilities and rewards. This is the pathway to both spiritual growth and material abundance. Not seeking more, but mastering the art of managing well what you already have. Begin today. Take inventory of your resources. Create simple systems to manage them wisely. Watch carefully over these gifts you've been entrusted with. As you develop this habit of disciplined stewardship, you'll find yourself drawing closer to both divine purpose and extraordinary success. Lesson 10. The Strangest Secret That Changed My Life. I've always believed that the space between where you are and where you want to be is filled with decisions, not conditions. This truth struck me with extraordinary clarity one rainy afternoon when I discovered what I now consider the strangest secret on my spiritual and success journey. The secret was simply this: we become what we think about most of the time. This principle appears throughout Scripture, philosophy, and the testimonies of history's most accomplished individuals. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. These ancient words contain a power that can literally transform your existence. When I first aligned my thoughts with divine intention, remarkable changes began manifesting in my life. Problems that once seemed insurmountable became stepping stones. Opportunities I couldn't previously recognize suddenly appeared with perfect timing. This wasn't mere coincidence. It was the natural result of bringing my thinking into harmony with eternal principles. Success is not an accident. It follows a law as predictable as gravity, just as a farmer plants corn and expects corn to grow, not wheat or barley. We harvest precisely what we plant in our mental garden. This is God's system working perfectly. I learned to guard my thoughts with the same vigilance I guard my home. Each morning, I carefully select what enters my consciousness, knowing that today's thoughts become tomorrow's reality. I stopped allowing the news to be my mental breakfast. Instead, I chose inspirational and instructional materials that lifted my thinking to higher planes. The difference between the person you are today and the person you'll be 5 years from now depends primarily on two things: the books you read and the people with whom you associate. I committed to both, with intentionality, surrounding myself with wisdom through carefully selected books and relationships that challenged me to grow. Your mind works in a peculiar way. It brings to you exactly what you focus upon most consistently. If you focus on lack and limitation, that becomes your reality. But when you direct your thinking toward abundance, gratitude, and service, the universe conspires to deliver those very things to your doorstep. I began setting aside 15 minutes each day for concentrated thought on my deepest desires and highest purpose. During this time, I visualized with crystal clarity the outcomes I sought, feeling the emotions of achievement before the physical manifestation appeared. This practice bridged the gap between the invisible world of thought and the visible world of results. The transformation wasn't immediate. It rarely is, but it was inevitable. By persisting in this practice through doubts and setbacks, I discovered that achievement is the natural consequence of correctly applied thought, just as a building is the natural consequence of correctly applied architecture and construction. Success is nothing more than the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. When you combine this understanding with faith in divine principles, you unlock a power that few ever discover, but that remains available to all who seek it earnestly. This strangest secret changed everything for me. By taking full responsibility for my thoughts and aligning them with God's truth, I found that success and spiritual growth were not separate journeys, but a single path illuminated by the same light. You too can harness this power, starting today, with nothing more than the wonderful mind God has already given you. Lesson 11. The Divine Law of Increase. You become what you think about most of the time. This is not merely a philosophical concept, but a divine law that operates with unfailing consistency in our lives. In this penultimate chapter, I want to share with you what I consider the crown jewel of habits that has transformed my relationship with God and accelerated my success beyond anything I could have imagined. The law of increase states that whatever you give your attention, energy, and gratitude to will multiply in your life. This principle appears throughout Scripture and throughout the natural world. To him who has, more will be given, as the good book tells us. This isn't about material possessions alone, but about the expansion of everything worthwhile in life. I discovered this law in action during my darkest hour. My business had failed, my savings were depleted, and my confidence was shattered. It was then that I began the simple practice of identifying and celebrating even the smallest blessings in my life. At first, it felt mechanical, even foolish. What good would it do to be thankful for the sunshine when my creditors were calling? But something remarkable happened. As I directed my attention toward what was working rather than what wasn't, those positive elements began to expand. Opportunities appeared where before there seemed to be none. Relationships deepened. Solutions emerged to problems that had seemed insurmountable. The law of increase works because it aligns your consciousness with the creative force of the universe. God does not create from a mindset of lack or limitation, but from infinite abundance. When you train yourself to operate from this same perspective, you become a clearer channel for divine ideas and inspiration. Here's how to practice this habit daily. First, begin each morning by acknowledging 5 specific things for which you're grateful. Not general blessings, but particular instances of goodness in your life. Second, throughout your day, pause to recognize moments of beauty, kindness, or opportunity. Third, before sleep, review your day and identify 3 ways you witnessed increase or abundance. This practice rewires your brain to scan for possibility rather than problem. And what you consistently look for, you invariably find. Your reticular activating system, that marvelous mechanism in your brain, will obediently bring to your attention whatever you program it to seek out. The most successful men and women I've known have mastered this habit. They speak of abundance when others speak of scarcity. They see opportunity where others see only obstacle. They expect increase, and through that expectation, they receive it. This divine law works in both directions. Focus on lack, and lack increases. Dwell on problems, and problems multiply. The choice of focus always remains yours, and it is perhaps the most consequential choice you make each day. What makes this habit so powerful is its compound effect. Each day of practiced gratitude and positive expectation builds upon the previous day. Like interest in a bank account, the returns grow exponentially over time. I encourage you to test this law for yourself. For the next 30 days, become a deliberate practitioner of the law of increase. Watch closely as your relationship with God deepens and your circumstances begin to reflect the abundance you've chosen to acknowledge. Lesson 12. The Strangest Secret Revealed. Your Path to Divine Success. Success is no accident. Neither is your relationship with God. Throughout our journey together, we've explored the habits that can transform your life and deepen your spiritual connection. Now, in our final chapter, I want to share with you what I call the strangest secret, the hidden principle that ties together everything we've discussed. The strangest secret is simply this: we become what we think about most of the time. This profound truth appears throughout Scripture and has been proven repeatedly by those who achieve greatness. Your mind is the gateway between the physical and spiritual worlds. The thoughts you nurture today create the life you'll experience tomorrow. Think about it. Everything you see around you, your home, your career, your relationships, began as a thought. Began as a thought. This is not mystical thinking. It's the practical application of divine law. God has designed this universe with order and purpose. Your thoughts are the seeds you plant in the garden of your life. Most people drift through life without directing their thoughts. They react to circumstances rather than creating them. They wonder why they never seem to get ahead, why their prayers seem unanswered. The answer is startlingly simple. They have never taken control of their thinking. I remember when this revelation first transformed my own life. I was working at a job I disliked, struggling financially, and feeling distant from God. Then, one morning, while listening to the radio before dawn, I heard a speaker say, "You are where you are because that's exactly where you've chosen to be." At first, I was offended, but then the truth sank in. My circumstances weren't accidents or bad luck. They were the natural harvest of the thought seeds I'd been planting for years. That very day, I began changing my mental diet. I replaced worry with faith, complaints with gratitude, and vague hopes with clear goals. The change didn't happen overnight. But as I practiced the habits we've discussed in this book, rising early, reading scripture, setting goals, serving others, expressing gratitude, my thinking changed. And when my thinking changed, my life changed too. This is the path to both divine connection and worldly success. They are not separate journeys, but one integrated path. When you align your thinking with God's truth, success becomes not just possible, but inevitable. So what will you think about today? Will you focus on problems or possibilities? On past failures or future achievements? On fear or faith? Remember, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. What worthy ideal has God placed in your heart? Focus your thoughts there. Plant those seeds daily. Nurture them with the habits we've discussed. As we conclude our time together, I want to leave you with this certainty. You are created for greatness. Not greatness as the world defines it, but greatness as the world defines it, but greatness as God defines it. A life of purpose, service, and joy. The habits in this book aren't just techniques. They're pathways to becoming the person you were designed to be. The strangest secret is now yours. Guard your thoughts, direct them intentionally, and watch as your life transforms in ways you've never imagined. This is your divine birthright. Claim it starting today.